Hi, this is Danielle Whitney Moore from Team Whitney Real Estate, and I'm going to show you how to fill out the Real Estate Transfer Disclosure Statement, also known as the TDS, and also the Seller Property Questionnaire, which is known as the SPQ. So on the Transfer Disclosure Statement, the first thing you're going to do is check off this box, no substituted disclosures for this transfer. And then you'll go down to the next section, and you're going to put if you are or are not occupying the property. I'm going to say is for right now. And then in this section, A, you're going to check off everything that the property has. So let's say we have a range and an oven, a microwave, a dishwasher, a garbage disposal, washer and dryer hookups. We do have rain gutters, we have smoke detectors and carbon monoxide alarms. So you're going to go through the entire section and fill in what the property actually has. If you are part of an HOA, you do not need to check off the hot tub spa or anything for the pool if that's something that the HOA maintains. And then down here it's going to say, are there, to the best of your knowledge, any of the above that are not in operating condition? If you say yes, you need to put an explanation down below as to what is not working. So I might say garbage disposal is not in working order. So we need to have an explanation down here. And maybe when we check off something else like dishwasher, you can say dishwasher is also not in working order. Then we go to the next page. Are you aware of any significant defects, malfunctions in any of the following? If you put yes, you need to check which item has a defect. So if we do floors and maybe we check off windows, and we need to give an explanation. So I can say floor in kitchen is peeling, and then we might say 2 windows in the living room are cracked. Then we go down to the next section, and you're going to need to answer yes or no for all 16 of these questions. Again, if we put a yes, we need an explanation below, and for this section we need to know which item it pertains to. So if you have something to say and you say yes on C2, we're going to write C2 and the explanation for it right after. So for example, do we have asbestos, formaldehyde, etc.? I'm going to say no. Features of the property shared in common with adjoining landowners. Most people are going to have yes for this question, especially if you're part of an HOA. Even if you're a single family home, more than likely you have a wall shared with neighbors. So I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say C2. Exterior fences shared with neighbors. Any encroachments, easements, or similar matters that may affect your interest in the subject property. So an example of an easement would be a shared driveway. For now, I'm going to say no. Room additions, structural modifications, or other alterations or repairs made without permits. I'm going to say no. Room additions, again, not in compliance with building codes. I'm going to say no. Fill on the property or any portion thereof. I'm going to say no. Any settling from any cause or slippage, sliding, or other soil problems. I'm going to say no. Flooding, drainage, or grading problems. I'm going to say no. Major damage to the property from fire, earthquake, floods, or landslides. I'm going to say no. Any zoning violations, non-conforming uses, setback requirements. I'm going to say no. Neighborhood noise problems or other nuisances. I might say yes here if you are close to an airport or you live on a busy street. So I might say C11, property is located on a busy street. C.C.Rs or other deed restrictions or obligations. If you have an HOA, 12, 13, and 14 will all be yes. So let's say we're in an HOA. I'm going to say yes, yes, and yes. This is talking about common areas, C.C.Rs, and a homeowners association. So I might come down here and say C12, C13, and C14. Property is part of an HOA. Any notices of abatement or citations against the property, I'm going to say no. And any lawsuits by or against the seller, I will say no. Then we'll go down to the next section, and on each page you are going to have to click. So I'm going to initial on that first page. I will initial here on the second page. I will sign on the third page. You sign twice on the third page. And then now we're going to go to the next form, which is the Seller Property Questionnaire, also known as Form SPQ. Same thing. We need to answer every single question on this form, and whenever we put a yes, we need to have the explanation down below for it. So, are there any reports that you have, maintenance recommendations, estimates, studies on the property that have not been given to the buyer yet? So you say yes or no. I'm going to say no. Within the last 3 years, has somebody passed away on the property? If you say yes, your reasoning might be 6A down here. Someone passed peacefully on the property in the last 3 years. And then you're going to go through and answer the rest of the questions. Is there an order that the property is contaminated by methamphetamine? So I'm going to say no for this one. I'm going to say no for this one. Are illegal substances on or beneath the property? I'm going to say no. Whether the property is located in or adjacent to an industrial use zone. Is it very close to an airport, manufacturing facility? I'm going to say no. Whether the property is affected by a nuisance created by these industrial use zones. So I'm going to say no. Whether the property is located within 1 mile of former federal or state ordinance location. If you have a property in San Pedro, this may apply to you because your property is close to Fort MacArthur. So I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to say down here for 6F, property is in close proximity to Fort MacArthur. Whether the property is a condominium or located in a planned unit development or other common interest subdivision. If you have an HOA, the answer to this is yes. So then I would go down and put for 6G, property has an HOA. And we'll initial our first page. Okay, then we'll go on to our second page. Insurance claims affecting the property, I'll say no. Matters affecting title, I'll say no. Material facts or defects affecting the property not disclosed to the buyer, I'll say no. Plumbing fixtures that are not compliant. For this one, this is going to be no because we send out our retrofit company to check everything to make sure we are in compliance with the local codes for when we are selling a property. So this would be no. And then you're going to go through the next section. Any alterations, modifications, replacements, improvements, remodeling, or material repairs on the property. So if we say yes, you need to give an explanation. It might say both bathrooms and kitchen were remodeled in, and I might put the year here and put the year. Any alterations, modifications, replacements for the purpose of energy or water efficiency improvements. You'll say yes or no. I'm going to say no. Ongoing or recurring maintenance on the property. Do you need to clean out your main line frequently? Do you have a quarterly pest control service? That's what you would put here. So if I put yes for this, I might put 7C, quarterly pest control service. Any part of the property being painted within the past 12 months. If you say yes, you need to say what was painted. We may need to attach other pages for you. So for right now, I'm going to say no. And then whether the property was built before 1978. If it was not built before 1978, you can skip these next two questions. If it was built before 78, you need to answer A and B. And then we'll go down and you're going to answer each of these other sections, which are basic questions. So we're going to answer all of 8. If we need to put an explanation and we say yes, we need to write 8B and the reason for it. We're going to go through and do section 9, 10, 11. If you've had pets on the property and you check yes, you could say something to the effect of 11A, 2 dogs on the premises, something to that effect. But make sure every single question we're answering yes or no, and if it has a yes, again, it needs an explanation down below. If You'll go through and do section 12. Under section 13, only put what applies to your property. So if you have an HOA that maintains the sprinklers, the pool, and the spa, these answers can be no. All I would do is note that if I'm part of an HOA and I put no here, no here, and no here, down here I might say 13B, 13C, and 13D. HOA maintains sprinklers, pool, and spa. So this is the only time where your answers may be no, but you can just note that the HOA is maintaining those items. Then you'll go down here. Are there any special assessments if you have an HOA? This is very important. You need to put yes and put what the special assessment is, or if you know that if that one is coming up. If you are part of an HOA, 14B is very certainly going to be yes as well. So that means, do you have an architectural committee that has authority over improvements made on or to the property? If you have an HOA, you most likely cannot just paint your house blue or install green windows or a green front door. There are rules and regulations to have all the properties in the HOA look similar. So more than likely, 14B is going to be yes. And then 14C is if you did not get the approval from the architectural committee or your HOA before making improvements and you made the improvements anyways. So more than likely that's going to be no. Now if we have a yes, we need to have an explanation. So this would be 14B, property has an HOA. Then you're going to go through and answer section 15. You're going to answer section 16. Neighborhood noise, if you're close to an airport, make sure you note that. If the property is on a busy street, make sure you note that. So let's say yes, and we would say 16A. Property is located on a busy street. And then you will go down and answer all the rest of these questions. The other one I want to point out as a yes or no is for 17B, I advise all of our sellers to put yes for rent control. And down here, you would put 17B, buyer to investigate local and state rent control laws. So I always recommend for that one that we go ahead and do that. And then you'll go through and answer the rest of the questions here, the rest of the questions here. If somebody smokes on the property, you absolutely need to disclose that. And then we'll make sure we've signed each page. Now, I have skipped sections for purposes of making the video shorter, but every single question has to have a yes or a no unless I have told you otherwise that it doesn't in the video for the lead-based paint section. Every single box should have a yes or a no. So we'll go up and make sure we've signed. We've already initialed the first page. We'll initial the second page. We'll go down and initial the third page, and then we'll click to sign the fourth page. And then what we'll do is say next, and we will sometimes need to go through this, and then what we'll do is click complete signing. And once you've done that, you will be completely done signing. And if you have any further questions, you can contact our transaction coordinator, Lauren Yee. Her cell phone is 310-940-0382, or you can contact me, Danielle Whitney Moore. My cell phone is 310-987-9103. Thank you.